As INFJs, once we learn how to not leak energy, it's a game changer because we go through life, we think we're being kind, we think we're being ourselves, and all the time we're just leaking energy left and right. We're losing energy and we're not even aware of it. And once you've experienced like the difference, it's obvious. It's like day and night. And this is something that I will explain to you here, but what I'm explaining just will help you to embody it. Really understanding it is once you go in it, once you feel it. But I promise you, once you do this, it's a totally different game. I always encourage people, like, watch one of my first videos. A lot of people say, yeah, but you still, sound like, in a good space and all of that. If you really look at it from an energy standpoint, you cannot compare it to the energy I have now. And I'm like, what it is, like 12 years older than I am there? Or I don't even know how long it's been. Like I've experienced so much during the last years that should have exhausted me, and I'm just flourishing. And this has in many ways something to do with this whole thing of stopping energy leakage. So I'm going to try to explain it to you in this video, and hopefully I'll get my points across so you can start embodying it. Before we get started, remember, if you want to deep dive this, if you want to understand it so well that it just becomes second nature because you know what to do in order to embody it, then get the new course I created for you, 10 Principles of Energy Mastery for INFJs. You can check it out through the link in the description, and I promise you, you will feel the difference. And if you don't, we have a money back guarantee. So check all of that out through the link in the description. And now let's get started. Number one, you overshare before people earn your trust. So this is really oversharing from an energetic standpoint. So we as INFJs, we go through life, we live in our alignment, we live in our truth. There is really this essence of, I just want there to be peace and all is good and so on. And then on top of it, we like the connection. Like we really have to look at it from this perspective. Our first function is NI, our second function is FE. So this is how we approach this. At first, it's our peace, and second is the connection. And so often we feel like, yeah, I'm going around with my NI and it's all open and I see a person, and for a moment, there's a connection. For a moment, they tune into my energy. So what do? I share with them my energy frequency. What does this mean? Every single time you have a connection with somebody, it can be romantic, it can be a friendship. Those moments when you feel like we vibed. We were there. When you vibe with another person, that means that you gave them access to your energy. And when people have not earned your trust, they will drain that energy. And they will not drain it because they're bad people. They will not drain it because they have bad intentions. They will drain it because they don't know what they're doing. And we are giving them access to this. So understand this. And then once you understand it, you can ask yourself, okay, so what does it mean people have to earn my trust? That means that you don't allow that deep access to you until people have proven to yourself that they can hold that frequency, that they can stay in that space with you and are not going to back out. They're not going to make you feel bad. They have to really be willing to put in the effort energetically to stay in that space with you. Because what do we feel? We see, oh, there's a moment of connection. This is the true them. So this is the part I'm connecting with. But that was a moment where they were able to show up as themselves, because that's why you connect, right? We can only connect with people if they're authentic in that moment. And a lot of people can be authentic in the moment, particularly when they're around you. But that doesn't mean that they're able to do that afterwards. And afterwards, you want to keep that connection. And in order to keep that connection, you actually have to overgive. You have to give them energy. You have to bend yourself. You have to, give them something of your energy for them to stay connected with you. Because they're going to try to diminish you. They're going to try to control you. Again, not because they have a problem with you or because they think you're bad, but because they don't understand it. They sense some kind of energy, a relief from their pain, and they think they have to sort of control it to just make it through the day. And you'll experience this with a lot of people. And now it's on us to actually be altruistic in that moment and to understand that a lot of people are going through this. This is day-to-day experience for many people. And what we are doing to self-sabotage ourselves is to actually allow people access to that energy before they have earned the trust to actually connect with us. And earning trust means that they have self-disciplined themselves to such an extent that they can stay in that space with you and are not going to try to take advantage of you. And so we can teach people by punishing them afterwards, which is, very uncomfortable. And, those are the typical situations of the INFJ door slam. And then they've taken so much from us and all of that we can't get back, and nobody wants this. So the price we have to pay, though, is that we feel nobody's going to pay that price for us. So therefore, I'm going to stay alone. Trust me, that's not the case. That's how it feels like in the moment. And I encourage you to lean into this feeling, because only then we really allow it. That if it comes down to it, I will rather choose my peace. I will rather choose my energy than connection. Even if that means I'm never going to have any connection with anybody that is that deep. You'll be all right. Like, even if that is the worst case, you'll still be able to connect with people from a basis of being whole and complete and not completely open. It's okay. Like, you will get through it, and definitely it's a price worth paying. And you'll see how with a lot of people then you can open up, because you taught their energy system, their nervous system to stay disciplined and not, take from you all the time. This is something that happens on, a subconscious level. This is not something where you go, by the way, don't act like this. Like, you just don't open up. You don't share so much of your energy. You don't share so much of your truth. You really are more contained and don't go so deep with people until they have actually learned, like, this has to be earned. This is something that is sacred. This is something that we're not giving up for anybody, because only then we can actually have impact in the world, right? And impact in a way of we're making the world a better place. We're, creating abundance for us, for other people. So this is a necessity. And when we look at it from that perspective, then we don't feel so guilty for it. And I promise you, it's a price worth paying every single time. Number 2, you feel responsible for other people's emotions and emotional states. So this is a typical thing from the INFJ God complex, because we see other people's emotional states and we feel because we see it, we're the ones who are responsible for it, because we can. If we don't, we're bad people. If we don't, we're not worthy. If we don't, we're not going to be valuable enough for another person to show us appreciation, and so on. This is something we have conditioned ourselves since little children, because particularly when there are people around you who are not, healthy all the way, how nobody pretty much is, like only a fraction of people are really at a rather mentally healthy state. They are not going to be okay with you showing up the way you do, because you're just a mirror. If you are being all that you are, it triggers people who are not in a healthy state. And so we have learned as children, the only way I'm going to get affection, the only way I'm not going to get abandoned, the only way I'm going to survive, because that's how it feels when you're a child, is if I tune into another person's energy and if I make myself responsible for that energy, because that's the only way I'm going to survive. But know that this is something we have learned. This is not how it's supposed to be. And the story we tell ourselves is like, I'm getting a superiority complex. I feel like I'm better. I feel like I'm worthy because I give myself the title of the person who's going to save that person, who's going to make them feel good. And this is the superiority complex. This complex of everybody needs to protect themselves first, but I don't. Like, I'm in a position where I'm so able to maintain the energy everywhere that I'm also proclaiming that I'm going to make sure you're in a good state. It's not a good strategy for various reasons. But one of them is we're leaking energy, because if you feel responsible for that other person's energy, you're going to bend. You're going to get off your center. You're going to allow their pain to be experienced by you when it's not your pain. And then through that, you're like doing everything in your power to sort of be a crutch to them, for them to feel good, for them to be whole, to give them everything that they're lacking in that moment because they're not in alignment with who they are. And so guess what? This costs you a lot of energy. So this is one more reason, please don't. Like, just learn that this is a non-negotiable. I'm not going to leak energy. I'm not going to give out energy. And you're actually being the kind of version of yourself at the end of the day. And you're not making yourself stronger than you actually are, because the price that you're paying for this is just not worth it. You do have limits, and learning our limits is a very humbling experience, but it's also super freeing, because then okay, now I have to be myself, because everything else is just not an option anymore. Number 3, you scan every room before you even speak. So if we're afraid that somebody is going to take our energy, somebody is going to disturb our peace, somebody's going to make us feel bad, we enter a room and we're constantly directly looking at what's going on. In order to pick up other people's emotional states, you're also opening up your own system. It's just a natural law. Like if you really think about it, every single time when you've checked somebody's vibe, when you really allowed yourself to absorb them, you're not protecting your own vibe because you have to be open for it. And this is, again, this in itself is a beautiful experience. Like I don't even want to think for a moment what it would mean for me to give this up in my life. But I have given it up in many circumstances. I have said, I'm not going to do this in states where I'm opening up myself for people who have just experienced so much pain that they cannot protect my space, right? When you open up, you can only do this with people who are not disturbing you to such an extent that it's going to cause problems. And you will see a lot of people can maintain this to a big extent, right? There's not like, now I'm completely open, now I'm completely closed. You just have to understand the more you open up to others, the more you allow yourself to absorb other people's emotions and emotional states, the more you're opening yourself up. And every single time you're opening yourself up, you're giving away energy because it's an energetic exchange, right? And so there are two extremes. The one extreme is you're completely open and you pick up everything and so on. The other is you're completely closed and you don't understand who is doing what. And I have mastered this like no other. I can go into a room and I can completely, and I've been actually really good at this for a long time, like long before this video, and like just feel myself. Just completely embody myself, feel myself. I don't check any vibes. I don't see anything because I've taught myself to be in that state. The problem is you don't want to be like this all the time. Of course, you want to have connections with other people. And then you open up, and that's when you get in trouble, when you've opened up to somebody who's not disciplined enough in their own alignment that they can protect your peace. And if you want to keep that connection because it felt so interesting and you felt so alive in their presence, you might be paying prices that are not worth paying. So I encourage you, you don't have to be somebody who scans what everybody's doing. This is a defense mechanism when you're open all the time, and you have to be aware of everybody because you have to know, okay, who's going to create this harmony and it's going to make me feel bad. I'm going to feel it, all of that. The alternative is, as I said, you're only focusing on your own energy. How do I feel? How do I want to feel? And you practice this. This is really a matter of practice. You can maintain this for a while. You cannot maintain this for weeks. Like I've seen other types, I think ENFJs are really good at this, like maintaining an energetic state forever. Like things like where I said, I don't have this longevity. Like I can keep this up for like an hour max. And this is after a lot of practice, and only if I really have enough space for myself. So let's say I'm in a group and I'm not having like more intense conversations, I can keep it up for a longer time. But no matter how much you've practiced this, you can always hone in on this. You can always do better. And remember, this is not a bad thing. This is a choice. You're making a choice. I'm going to focus on my energy. When I focus on my energy, I don't have to care what the vibe of the room is, because as long as I'm focusing on my energy and how I feel about myself, about what I see, and I'm not thinking about how they're feeling or how they might be experiencing me, I am safe. What is there to happen? A person doesn't like me, I'm not aware of it. I'm focusing on me, remember? You start feeling bad when you tune into somebody else and then you experience what they think about you, for example, right? And their projections and all of that. But if you stay in your own space, you're safe. And so, of course, we don't want to do this forever because it feels fake. But it's not really fake. It's just a mechanism to protect yourself, and you can still show up with integrity. You can still say, I'm not going to act in a way that is disrespectful. I'm not going to abuse another person just because I'm not aware of their emotional states. Like, I know what decent behavior is. I don't need to be tuned into the room in order to figure out what that person's exact pain points are so I can avoid them. I can just say, maybe I'm going to not be able to pick up everything, but that's okay. Like, I'm not going to pay the price of me being completely open all the time, because guess what? You're losing energy, and it's not energy well spent, because the person might experience a little bit of a lift while they're around you, but they're going to lose that once you're gone. Like, it's not like you're teaching them to fish, right? You're just giving them one fish today, and then tomorrow they don't have anything either. So you're not doing anybody any favors with that. Number 4, you stay in draining conversations out of politeness. So I'm watching The West Wing right now. I don't know if some of you know this, but Martin Short, right? He's the president and he always tells everybody about like some historic events. And every single time I think like, that's so boring. That would be so draining to me. And everybody around him listens to him. It's like this ongoing joke that he thinks he can tell like all of his knowledge and everybody has to listen to him because he's a president, but everybody is secretly annoyed. Well, that's how I think a lot of INFJs feel, that we want to be polite, so we allow other people to talk about things that drain us because it's not easy for us to process. Like every single thing, when somebody tells me about details, I'm like, come on, get it over with. What is the big picture here? Like that is draining to me. And I want to show respect and I want to be polite, but you also have to be aware of your cognitive makeup. If something is draining to you, no matter how unpolite it would be, you have to stop people. You have to be unpolite for a minute if it's necessary for you to maintain who you are. You have to think of it like this. When that person tells their stories, nobody's listening to them, right? If it's something that doesn't bring value to other people, nobody's listening to them. Unless, of course, they're in a position of hierarchy and people think they have to listen so they get some kind of recognition. But even then, when you, out of politeness and because you have a good heart and you're a person and you want to make space for that person, like this comes from a genuine good space, like you're so excited about this topic, I want to let you talk about it because it just lifts me up to see you in your element. Like I get that. But even then, no, you don't have to be over polite. Like you making space in a way of I'm listening to you and I'm listening to you for 1 minute. And after a minute, I get drained to say, sorry, like it's just an overwhelm for me. I understand this is super interesting, but it just shortcuts my system. Like it's just too much for me. I'm not so good with details. Whatever you tell that person doesn't matter. Politeness is not the number one factor if the price you're paying is your well-being. So even if that means you're exposing yourself to other people, that you have limits, that you're not always super kind, that you're not always super polite, that you can't process some things, whatever it may be, that you're really showing people, I have a limit here, it's a necessity component. Once you practice doing this, you will see how much more energy you actually have. This is a leakage we can definitely get rid of. So come on, let's work on it. Number 5, you don't call your energy back. So what do I mean with this? I mean, you have an interaction with a person and for some kind of reason it has an effect on you and you go home and physically you're moving on. But in your thoughts, you're staying with that person, with that situation, whatever that brought up in you. And we have to learn that this is not okay. We so often stay connected with people through this, but every single time we do this, we're leaking energy. We're not focusing on ourselves. And we're doing this because the energy we felt when we were with them felt better than the energy feels when we're with ourselves. Or it evoked something in us that made us angry. And still, we're kind of addicted to that feeling. So we have to practice, and you can do this through meditation, through whatever it is, that this is your home. Thinking about your energy, your field, how you feel in the moment. You learn your lessons, you understand what this means, but then you focus on this energy. You're present. And we can practice this not only through meditation, but also through taking actions in our life that make the energy that we're creating more exciting for us than anything else that is taking us off course. Remember, if you want to learn more about this, if you want to go into details, if you want to learn how to embody it so it's not just a conscious understanding, then get the new course, The 10 Principles of Energy Mastery for INFJs. The link is in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.